Okay. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Today is January the 2nd, 2023. I'm have to get used to um, that whole 2023 thing. I'm sure everybody at some point does the, you know, 2022 can't let it go for until what, February? This time I'm going to be committed. It's January 2nd, 2023. Um, all right. So today it's probably going to irritate a few people. For sure, it'll irritate somebody called Scott Olson, I believe. Hey, Lenny's, welcome. Yeah, so this person, Scott Olson, I think that's the name, doesn't doesn't want good graphics because he appears to believe that it glorifies the killer. Maybe that's true. So I tried something different with these graphics. It's just the killer or the accused killer. Yeah, we'll see how he likes that. All right. So, hey, Tennessee and Sundown Farms. All right, so a couple of topics here that may not make people very happy, and I'm certain it's going to really make Scott Olson very angry. And I apologize for that, but it's true what I'm going to say. So I don't know what else to say. Thank you, DJO Graphically. I appreciate your comment. First thing I want to say is this, and I've heard it's caught on. You know, a lot of people are saying this. They're using the term doctoral candidate or a PhD candidate. That's not really technically the term, but the correct term is doctoral candidate, and it's a term that was initially said on a mainstream media channel, Fox or CNN or something. Yeah, okay, and now lots of people are beginning to repeat it, and so not that it has anything to do with the price of eggs in China, but in terms of understanding, I think, especially what my topic is today, I think I need to be very clear because we don't need to give this joker any kind of position of honor, right? So there's a term called ABD, and ABD is all but dissertation, meaning everything has been completed. And in some ways, you might look at this term doctoral candidate as similar, but there's some nuances. So for someone to be a doctoral candidate, what that actually means, it's actually quite a position of honor. It's a lot of work to get there to become a candidate. And by the time you get to a candidate, means that you've completed everything that needed to be done. And now you're waiting, you're kind of in a holding pattern to finish working with your committee and present and defend your dissertation research. There's a critical step in the doctoral training where I've said before, there's two different types of doctorate degree. Well, there's an academic doctorate, and then there's more of a clinical doctorate and the distinction is that clinically you're in contact with human beings, working directly with them. Academic types of PhDs would be like in history or mathematics. The differences are different in terms of like the number of years of study. For an academic PhD, it's generally a 2-year program. That is full time. That's an intensive training program. It heavily the PhD just denotes it's a research degree. You have to conduct your own. You have to conceive of an idea on your own, something that's never been done before, something that adds to the body of existing information, something unique and new that adds to the body of information. You have to divide, you have to like design your project, you have to develop it, you have to collect your data, you have to do your analysis, you have to do your own writing and publication, and then you present it to a room full of PhDs or other people that want to attend, and they get to ask you questions, try to challenge you on what the work you've done. So then you defend it, and then at that point, then the committee makes a decision whether or not to accept your work, and then at that point, then you're a candidate. And you have to, in a clinical PhD, then you do have an internship, and it's an internship that's done in the same way that internship for a medical degree or even a residency, depending on what kind of work you do. So it's absolutely premature in a dramatic fashion, and you're giving this guy a position of honor to call him a doctoral candidate. He completed 1 semester. That's it. I'm working on a video right now, talking about from the time that he left Pennsylvania to arrived in Washington / Moscow, was such a short period of time. What was he doing during that period of time, right? He was only there a matter of months, y'all. They believe he got there June, July, and then all of this took place in early November. So we're only talking about 3 months, basically, that he was really there before all this happened. So yeah, I agree, SC Crow. It doesn't matter how you present this guy. He's a creepy. He is a creeper. Everybody says he's a creeper. The people that know him in real life, creeper. Okay. DJO says, I will never forget your graphic overlays of Barry Morphew and Bridge Guy. I fell off my couch. Hey, DJO, trust me, I still believe he was involved somehow. Somebody saw Barry Morphew that day at the bridge. I believe that in my heart. Okay. I think Barry is a better match for the sketches than oh crap, I forgot his name. Good. We don't need to remember their names. The murderer in Delphi. I don't think the sketches look as much like him as Barry Morphew looks like the sketches. It's kind of weird, right? Kind of scary. All right. So the guy, yeah, see, DJO says, nope, definitely Barry looks more like it. Yeah. Alan. Yeah. Alan. Richard, is it all right? Richard Allen. So this guy, this creeper, is not a doctoral candidate, not even close. He hadn't even gotten close. That's hilarious, Martin. That's hilarious. Not even close. Okay. He 1 semester. Now, this is where it's going to start making people mad. Like Scott Olson, who is actually from another channel, I think a troll from a Fearless Leader. I'm going to talk today about Bryan's work with his professors. And while he's not a doctoral candidate, he was given a teaching assistantship at Washington State University. And I see a lot of people saying, oh, well, he sure is dumb. He sure is a dumb guy. he's a dumb criminal, that's where you would be wrong. Okay, and I know that makes you feel angry and upset. You want him to be dumb because he's vicious and he's a sadistic maniac. Those are plenty of good reasons to hate the guy. This is a guy you don't want to be sending Christmas cards to. But I do think that they're hi purple butterfly, welcome. I do think it is beneficial to kind of think about these killers in a realistic fashion, lest you run across one in your own life, right? And the reality is that the teaching assistantships in these PhD programs are very difficult to come by. They're highly sought after. Everybody wants a teaching assistantship. They give research assistantships and teaching assistantships. And with a teaching assistantship, you know, there's only a few of them, and they come with a lot of perks. You end up making friends with, you know, full-blown professors, which is an enormous jump for getting letters of recommendation when it's time to go and get matched for an internship. Now, that wouldn't happen with him because he's a criminology. I should have looked into it. I'm embarrassed I didn't, but I'm not sure if this was a 2-year degree or what, but I don't know if he'll do an internship per se. He would have done a dissertation. He would have had training experiences like practicums and that kind of thing. But I don't believe it's a licensed position. And since it's not a licensed position, then there probably wouldn't have been an internship. So it's not going to be like a 7 or 8 year PhD program. It's probably a 2-year academic. And but nevertheless, those teaching assistantships are highly sought after. They get you an office, generally right where the full-blown associate and assistant professors are. You develop a research program with your professors anyway, even though you're not a research assistant. It's more like you're being put on par with. It's sort of like being put more into an apprenticeship type position under a professor. Whereas the research assistantships, you're kind of a workhorse, right? You're doing research for anyone that might have research going on. But with a teaching assistantship, you get that benefit that whether it's intended or not doesn't matter. But you just get to develop a closer relationship with some of the professors. And that's a huge help when you're getting to the end of your program and you're ready to get out in the world and make your own nest, you know, with what you're going to do professionally. So the fact that this guy was given a teaching assistantship right off the bat, he that tells me right there, he was one of the more desirable, I'm talking about academically, he was one of the more desirable of all of the PhD programs in his incoming class. So that right there tells me he's a smart guy. I know people want to say he's dumb. I get that. But that's not the reality of what we're dealing with. He's a smart guy. Now, I want to talk about, there's also a little bit of confusion about his background. So when he was in Pennsylvania, he had a heroin problem. He managed to get clean, kick the habit, and then he attended a junior college. That is very common for somebody who is in recovery. They're clean, they got a lot of extra hours on their hands they don't know what to do with. And if they're smart, then you say, hey, why don't you get some higher education? Let's start at the junior college level so you don't get overwhelmed. Let's practice coping skills and let's build up your strength so you don't fall back on those old addiction habits, right? So he actually got an associate degree, which is a 2-year undergraduate, not an undergraduate, a junior college or community college degree, a 2-year. It's called an associate degree. There are many people now, because college has gotten so expensive, that will go and get their associate degree and in their community where they live, and then transfer into a 4-year degree to complete their bachelor's. Okay. So he got a 2-year degree in psychology. That's it. That's all. The 2-year associate degree in psychology from the community college. He then transferred to this private Catholic school, DeSalles University. And I believe, it's my opinion, I think he did it because of Catherine Lansland. I think he did it because she was there, and that's his interest, is criminology. And so he transferred in, he got his bachelor degree. The associate degree would have been used to satisfy some of the requirements in the 4-year criminology degree. And then he got his master's degree at the same university, DeSalles University in Pennsylvania. So a 2-year associate degree in psychology, and then a 4-year degree, but he would only gone another 2 years to graduate, and DeSalles with a bachelor's degree related to the criminal science. And then he got a master's degree in criminology, still at the same DeSalles University. Okay. Now, while he was there, this was before he ever left, got his master's degree and went to Idaho, while he's still in Pennsylvania. He's being trained in his master's program. And he had a professor there. She is an associate professor. So she's a accomplished professor. She's not dumb. She's not stupid. None of those things. Okay. She's an associate professor, 33 years old. She's doing great. Okay. Name's Michelle Bolger, Dr. Bolger. She said that Bryan Kohberger was one of the best students that she had ever had, and he was one of 2 students that she had ever recommended for a PhD program. Okay. So all this talk about how dumb and stupid he is, well, actually, that's just not true. So, and I know that there are people that to call somebody dumb is like the ultimate put down, right? I know that. And somehow it makes you feel better to think if he's, dumb. There's a lot worse things on the planet than low IQ, I promise. And him being a psychopathic deviant is probably worse than having a low IQ. So it really does help overall, everybody in general, to be realistic about what we're discussing, so that we can be discussing a reality and not some movie version of a killer, not some Hollywood version of a, murderer or accused murderer. And again, I guess I should interject, he is in our court of law, our way of justice. Bryan Kohberger is considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, people, the general population, neophytes, we're not all walking around being saints with goldy, halos that ding every time we smile. I kind of think this, you're innocent till proven guilty in a court of law, I kind of think that's to guide the legal system, so you don't get cops beating people up because they've been accused. You also can't go and, vandalize a person's house because they've been accused of a crime. But I think a discussion, when you've got cops that have come out in this manner and said the things that they have, I think the police chief is on record as saying he's absolutely certain they have the right guy. He is certain that they have the right guy. So yeah, alleged killer. He has not had a trial. He has not admitted that he did it. I agree with all that. He is being held without bail. And you notice when Barrymore Few was being held with, without bail or what we thought was going to be an enormous bail. Yeah, I was discussing what he did and the crime in the whole 9 yards. But the minute they threw that case out, I quit because there's legal ramifications for what we say. So this guy has not been found guilty, has not admitted it, none of those things. Okay, this is all alleged. Now, Dr. Bolger, an associate professor at DeSales University of Pennsylvania, she said that he is the most one of the best students ever, and that he is the one of only 2 students that she had actually been willing to write a letter of recommendation to a PhD program. And trust me, professors don't want to write letters of recommendations. They don't want to do that. And the reason they don't want to do that is because it's putting their reputation on the line. If you're a professor and you write a letter to a college saying, hey, this is a great student, this is a wonderful person, lots of potential, good and moral quality, blah, blah, blah. You do that, and it turns out that they're a bonehead, guess who looks bad? So, sometimes people have, let me put it this way. As you're going through your PhD, or not your PhD program, your master's level program, you want to be very, very careful with your behavior and the things you're doing, because you want to be able to go to a professor and say, would you please write me a letter of recommendation? I'm going to be applying for graduate school or PhD programs or whatever. You want them to be really confident in you, because they don't want their reputation soiled when you mess up. So there you have it. So Dr. Bolger is saying, nope, he's a great student, no question about it. And I happily wrote a letter for a PhD program. That being said, she also said that Bryan Kohberger is a great writer, quote unquote, a great writer. She said to the news that he is a brilliant student. And a direct quote attributed to her: in my 10 years of teaching, I've only recommended 2 students to a PhD program, and he was one of them. He was one of my best students ever. Everyone is in shock over this. He was always perfectly professional with her. End quote. All right. I'm a little uncomfortable with that last part. Okay. I'm a little uncomfortable with, he was always perfectly professional with her. We call that hyperbole. You know what I mean? That's a bit much. That's a bit over the top for what we're talking about. Now, if you want to call somebody a brilliant student, if you want to call somebody a great writer, okay, fine, because we're kind of talking about their skill set. But then to say in terms of like interpersonal interaction, that it was perfectly brilliant. And it was always perfect. Like there was never a bad day. Not one bad Not one day where you have the flu and somebody says something and you go, really? Would you please shut up? Not shut up, but like, would you please stop? You're really just stop. Those are moments of humanity. It's just everybody has a bad moment occasionally. You come in, you've been out, till 2 a.m. with friends. Maybe you got an 8 o'clock, class, and you're tired. You don't really want to be there. It's Friday morning, and some graduate student comes in wanting to prove to you how brilliant they are, and you just don't have the ability to manage that student that morning. And you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm really busy this morning. Maybe you could come back Monday, right? So this woman is saying that he was always perfectly professional or appropriate, or I don't remember exactly what she said. Hold on. And so this is Dr. Kohberger, right? So they don't look too much different in age, right? Callie, I'm with you. I think Callie is exactly correct. This is a teaching moment for Dr. Kohberger. This is how you go from being smart and educated to becoming wise. You know what I mean? So I think it's likely they probably had a friendship, would be my guess. Would I say inappropriate? I personally, because I am wise, I'm old, wise. I've seen it happen a lot. So I'm old and wise, and I am of the opinion that no professor or student, I'm talking about a PhD level student, neither is ever well served by developing a friendship outside the office. How's that? Is that a good way to say it? I'm not even talking about dating. I'm not talking about romance. I'm just talking about PhD students that will go get drunk with their professors. I've seen that. And it ended up badly. It ended up in the loss of 2 great students from the program and a professor whose reputation was so badly damaged that he had to leave and go to a different college. But so while it's, you want to develop a working friendship with your professors or your students, your PhD students. You want that because that's where the mentorship happens, right? That's where the guidance takes place. But you also need to retain some objectivity. This is not a family member. You're not forming besties that you're going to go on cruises with. As I've often said in the past in this channel, working relationships should always and are always working relationships. If you work with a bunch of people and then you guys go to a convention and you get drunk and take your shirt off and dance naked on a table, guess what's going to get affected? Yeah, when you get back home and try to go to work, that's where the trouble is going to be. That's where the consequences are. Nobody in the department is going to go, oh, hey, look, she's in Toronto. It's an APA convention. People do that. They just get drunk and naked and dance on tables. It's fine. When that professor is at work, she's always completely, perfectly professional. We don't have to worry about her here. It's okay that she got drunk and took her shirt off and danced on tables. That's not going to happen. That will never happen. If you go to a convention or you go on some sort of work trip, I can't think anything comes to mind right now, but something, and you behave in a way that is inconsistent with professional decorum, you will be called out on it. It's not appropriate, right? And I, because I'm old and wise, there was a time when I was young and I was not wise, but I'm old and wise. The friendships that we form with our coworkers, our students, our interns, our professors, they are working friendships. They are working relationships, and they that workplace professional decorum must be protected at all times. And so, no, you don't go get drunk with your PhD students, people. Never, ever, ever. I don't care if it's Football Friday. You never get drunk with your students. Never. Is it appropriate to have a barbecue for the students? Sure, absolutely. Perfectly appropriate. Have a barbecue, sit around and talk about research or whatever, or like internship placement or APIC status. But then they leave as students, and then you get to stay at home and clean up and go to bed early because you're wise, right? So yeah, she's associate professor. She's young, 30s. She's only 4 years older than him. He's 28, she's 33. What do you think? Right? So let's cut her some slack. All right? Let's be realistic about this. Nobody comes into the world wise. It's a fine word because it's a hard thing to achieve. Becoming wise, having wisdom, it's very difficult to achieve, correct? So I'm a bit concerned about the whole, he was always perfectly professional. I think we should all say a little prayer for her that she gets past this and heals and develops a bit of wisdom for going forward. And that's all. There's no judgment. There's no that she did anything bad or wrong or anything. It's called human nature. This guy's only 4 years younger than her. She's calling him brilliant, among other things. And it just stands to reason that she would have had an element of admiration that probably wasn't warranted. It probably wasn't. He's probably not brilliant. He's probably audacious, and he's pompous. He's loquacious, outspoken, a braggart. I'm so important. I'm so smart. Listen to all of my big fancy words. And if you're a young intellectual yourself, and I would say 30 is definitely a young intellectual. If you're a young intellectual yourself, you value education, you value intellect, you like smart people, and you get somebody that comes in with talks with big, flowery words, 6 foot, kind of a scary demeanor, kind of imposing figure, I guess. You might think he's someone that he's actually not, right? When I run across these people that are so self-important and self-possessed, I say to myself, dark tetrad, and walk out the door. I'm not impressed by all of the BS. I know what it is. All the self-promotion, that's someone who's really got a great deal of capacity for making your life miserable. So better to limit, interactions with them. But if you don't have that insight, you don't pick up on all that. It just looks like somebody who is real fancy and smart. We have one of those on YouTube right now. Someone who presents himself as a truly academic. And he does the whole, he likes to tell people, he likes to use words and concepts and theories. He talks about them in a way like he's expecting that you know what those things are. But the people listen to him, they don't know what he's talking about because nobody outside of that field would know what it is unless you're in the field, right? And I made an enemy when I kind of made him look silly, made him look foolish on one of his very important concepts. And he didn't like that. So now he doesn't like me, but that's okay. He says I'm a bad actor. Yes, that old Jules, she's a bad actor. Really? Is that what I am? Am I a bad actor? Or am I somebody who recognizes what you are? Okay. So, the whole point of this live is dealing with reality and who people, dealing with people according to who they actually are, right? And I think that there are a lot of people that have come out now and said, this guy is considered quite low in agreeableness, if you want me to talk about it like that. In other words, he's a jerk. He's an asshole. He talks loud. He uses big words. He tries to make sure that you know that he's the smartest guy in the room. He will bully you and make fun of you if you don't know what he is talking about. And that's never going to serve an intelligent person well if your job is to teach. If your job is to teach and you're around people that don't know the information that you're talking about, then should you bully them and make fun of them? Or should you just teach them the concept of which you'd speak? Right? So, the way I look at it is your class, your interns, your people you're talking to on wherever you happen to be, you meet them on their level. You have a conversation where they are, what's comfortable for them, the knowledge base they hold. And that's where then you can begin to add new information. And then everybody learns and it's on the same page. And then real communication happens. It's a miraculous thing. But that's not who he is. This guy's one of those people that he wants to create a gulf. He wants people to feel stupid and uneducated in his presence. He wants to come off as looking like the smartest guy in the room. Now, he is smart, but that's beside the point. You can be a fancy Ferrari, but if the battery is dead, that fancy Ferrari isn't going anywhere. And that's kind of how I look at this guy. He's a fancy Ferrari, but his battery's dead. He's a smart guy, but he has zero insight and has no idea how to appropriately and effectively use his intellect. And that makes him useless, like a Ferrari without a battery. You know what I mean? So, excuse me. So, he is smart, and I'm not trying to say, well, we should give him his due. No. Don't get me wrong. We should not give him his due. The reason that I'm saying that we need to accept what we're dealing with is because this is who the cops are working with. This is who the prosecutor and the team, the lawyers are going to be working with in trying to get him, a firing squad. You know what I mean? So I sincerely doubt that this guy goes into a house dark, kills 4 out of 6 people, and gets away for, 74 days? And he didn't plan for what his defense was going to be? He didn't. He had the confidence to go into a house full of people to commit savage murder, but we're supposed to believe he's dumb and didn't plan for, what am I going to say if I'm caught? What will my defense be? Do I have a plan for making an alibi for myself? You see what I mean? I believe, based on what we know about him so far, I think he planned this thing from conception to handcuffs. I think he knew exactly what he was going to do from the time that he began thinking about it. He went through a planning in execution phase. I mean, execution of the plan. I'm not using that term coldly. He planned it out. He executed his plan. And then in the aftermath of, what am I going to do afterwards? Well, I got to get up and I got to go teach my classes like nothing ever happened. And indeed, we have people that have said, yeah, he showed up. He was relaxed. He was happy. He talked more relaxed. He seemed like he was reaching out more to people. So he was, whether he was actually feeling better, he got some narcissistic supply, and he was a bit manic or hypomanic, or he was trying to pretend to be normal. It doesn't really matter. The point is, after the murders, people around him noticed a behavior change. That's the important part. Okay. So I think he planned from the beginning how he would do it, where he would do it, how he would get away, what would he say to the cops, and then what would he say to his parents. And then if the worst case scenario happened, he got arrested, what would he say to his attorneys? I think it's all planned. I think he has a plan, y'all. I promise you he has a plan. So that means let's be careful. That's what that means. All right. Let's see what else that Dr. Kohberger said. Okay, Dr. Kohberger was his faculty advisor for his thesis. And his thesis involved questioning people about their thoughts and feelings during the commission of a crime. She said, I was one of the professors who helped Bryan with this proposal on his graduate thesis that they call capstone project. He did put out a routine questionnaire for his thesis. She said, it looks weird. I understand from the general public's view, but in criminology, it's normal. Yeah, it is normal, these types of questionnaires, whether dissertation, data collection, or thesis, or whatever. I would imagine I'm trying to get his thesis. Okay, I'm making that. I'm making that effort now. But it was still quite rudimentary. I thought that it was a bit shallow. But if he's doing a qualitative study, or all he's going to do in his thesis is describe a phenomenon, a master's thesis is not the same thing as a research project, defense proposal, and then ultimate defense of your dissertation. That's a completely different animal than a thesis. Now, some programs do require a thesis that includes a statistical analysis of data. But it really sounds, I think, I don't have his thesis yet, so I don't know, but I'm guessing. I think when we finally get his thesis, we'll find out it's just a qualitative study. He's chosen something to talk about, and he's just talking about it, right? But using anecdotal stories from his questionnaire that he put out online. I can't imagine that there would be any kind of statistical analysis. Maybe in some rudimentary way. I don't know, but maybe. I doubt it. It's probably going to be a qualitative type thing. So that, you know, it wouldn't have, I'll say this, the questionnaire would not have been something that would have been appropriate or useful for a dissertation or for a quantitative study, where you were going to take those results from your data collection, you were going to take them, you were quantify them, turn them into numbers, and then do some good, you know, interesting analysis with them. She says that it is called criminology theory or script theory. It's a normal theory on how and why criminals commit their crimes. But again, it's going to be qualitative. It's just going to be descriptive. It won't be. I don't believe, not for a minute, they couldn't do like a multiple regression. I mean, I guess they could, but it wouldn't stand up to. Yeah. I still think that's my guess. My guess is I guess technically you could go through the motions, but it wouldn't be good science. You'd have it'd be messy. It would not be very, let's see. Look at here. Bryan Kohberger, eager to be exonerated, wearing a suicide vest in jail. I told y'all it was a suicide vest. But everybody said, no, you're wrong. No, not a suicide vest. It is a bulletproof vest. No. When you see those puffy, heavily quilted garments, it's a suicide garment. All right. Okay. I think that's everything I wanted to address today, everyone. Let's see. Don't forget to like the live. It helps the algorithm and gets the video out. You're a sweetheart, Elizabeth Gregory. Thank you for reminding people. Lulu Bell. Hold on just a minute. Lulu Bell. He put that questionnaire out in May and graduated in June. In May of 2021, the questionnaire has been out for, well, at this point, like 230 days. I had to do that for my bachelor's degree. I will never forget the difficulty of that last year. Oh yeah, some bachelor's degrees are quite rigorous, depending on whether you're in a hard science or whatnot. They can make it really. Some bachelor's programs are akin to like a social science master's. It can be very difficult. Elizabeth Ross, why do you believe that he knew he needed intensive psychological care? I don't think so. I think he thinks he's better than everybody else. Why does he need care? Counseling, mental health care, that's for SAPs, not for him. And then I started, then I saw somebody say something about the pings. Hold on, I'm scrolling through the chat. Yeah, I think the latest statistics, every state, is just a rough guesstimate. Every state has 2 psychopaths as a minimum. Okay, that's DJO. Oh, Martin is weighing in. Now, Martin, when Martin Smallwood's kind of like E.F. Hutton. You know, when Martin speaks, people listen. He does love all the attention, Martin. What did Martin say? Do you think he wanted the notoriety being caught? That's, yeah. He would have planned that first. Let's see what Martin's talking about here. He reads the Oxford English Dictionary for breakfast. Actually, Martin, you're probably not wrong about that. Yeah, everyone is beneath him. I agree with that. Or, in the vernacular of the peasantry, he's a D-bag. Right, Callie? Oh, thank you, Voice for the Voiceless. I don't think I'm a bad actor either. I was quite shocked to find out that I was a bad actor. I know why. I was a little snarky. I was having one of those moments one night. And to be fair, he was being that YouTube creator. I use that term creator loosely, I promise. He was being a D-bag to some really fine people I really like, people that are kind and considerate and interesting. And he was talking down to them like they were the great unwashed and like he was the bee's knees. He actually said, everybody needs a hero. I woke up one day and realized I could be their hero. And so that's why I decided to come back to YouTube, because everybody needs a hero. No, not hero. Everybody needs a champion. And I decided I'm the champion. I swear to you, he said it. I promise. And I was like, oh, you're a champion, are you? You're so smart with all your cute little theories. Let's see how they stand up to someone who understands what you're talking about. And so I went on panel and I asked him a few questions and he didn't like me. Isn't that right, Martin? I was a bad actor because I revealed him to be the fake and phony that he is. I remember being a young manager at work, 28, 29. Men have an innate tendency to play on your soft spots. It's a toughie, but oh, so necessary boundary. It is. So we teach people to set healthy boundaries, right? Recognize what a boundary is, set it, blah, blah, blah. But you know what the hardest thing is, Elizabeth? Protecting that boundary, right? You see where you need one, you put it in place. So that's hard work if you're not accustomed to doing that sort of thing. It's hard to do. But then you got to protect it. Because when you start standing up to people to say, hey, there's something I'm not comfortable with. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to take a week off work to drive you to Los Angeles to your sister's house. I'm sorry. I can't do that. When you start pushing back on people and they realize, wow, what's going on with Jules? She used to do everything I used to tell her to do. She used to do everything I asked her to do. What's going on here? They can become kind of nasty, right? So you have to learn to set, you got to learn to recognize when a boundary is appropriate. You got to learn how to set that boundary. But man, the big one, the hard one is defending the boundary and keeping the boundary in place. That can be really hard. I would not want to be his defense attorney, Caldonia. I agree. He is going to be a tough guy to have to work with. Question: premeditated or had assistance? Thank you, Wait What, for being here. I appreciate that. And I also welcome you, and I appreciate your question. Do I think it was premeditated or he had assistance? Okay. First problem. If he had assistance, if he had help, if he had some support, or people that were there, let's say a getaway driver or somebody that was helping him with research, that kind of thing, right? Who would those people be? Wouldn't they have to be people that he would trust? Right? I mean, even if he never, think about this, even if he never even made it to the actual implementation of the plan, he's still breaking the law by talking to people, collaborating, conspiring to kill. So even to approach someone and say, hey, what do you think about maybe doing this thing? It would have to be somebody that with whom he had formed a strong alliance, correct? It's going to have to be somebody where there's a history there of some sort of trust. Now, I got a little bit of trouble with this, right? This came to me in the middle of the night and my eyes popped open and I went, oh, this is uncomfortable to consider. And the reason that I think it's uncomfortable to consider is this. He was at the DePaul University of Pennsylvania, or not DePaul, DeSalles University of Pennsylvania, criminology program with the person who wrote the autobiography of Bind, Torture, and Kill, BTK killer, right? A guy who lived and walked among his community for years with nobody ever noticing. He used to take doggy treats to give to the dogs as he came up to the houses, you know, kind of thing. So this question of when he gets arrested, you know, have you arrested anybody else? That's actually what John Wayne Gacy did when he was arrested. When they arrested John Wayne Gacy, the clown, the guy he kept killing and they kept letting him out of jail. Weird. He said while they were, well, it was actually after they had put his handcuffs on him, but he said, have you arrested the others? And it was, you know, that to interject a question, a probable doubt, right? To give some impression that, oh, there could be some doubt. So the fact that this joker gets arrested, he's been studying under, you know, this great author, this absolute expert in serial killers, getting a master's degree in criminology. He's got a thesis advisor who's very likely probably having romantic ideas about him. He can feel the worship coming from that. So he's in this environment for 2 years. Well, if he's going to form an alliance, who do you think he's going to form an alliance with? It's either going to be someone he trusts implicitly, or it's going to be someone that has nothing to lose. So one of my questions is, okay, well, if he's going to have somebody that's going to help him, doesn't it have to be someone who's also committed murder? Doesn't it have to be someone who also could be in a lot of trouble? I want to punch him in the nose too. Wait, what? I'm with you completely. So I hope that answered your question. Is it premeditated or did he premeditated and did he have help? I have no idea if he had help or not, but I will tell you this, the cop, he kind of didn't answer the question, did he? That's number one. Maybe he's maybe he's been in communication with someone that's in prison. Maybe he took guidance in that manner. I don't know. Maybe he ran across another psychopath when he put his questionnaire out there. I don't know. But no, I don't. And here's another thing. It's neither here nor there for me. If he's working with someone else, he's arrested. He's not going anywhere. Now, if he was working with someone else, then yes, I hope that they catch him. But I've said from the beginning, y'all remember, go back to my first video I did on this joker. I don't believe fraternity boys could do this. How? No, you're wrong. I know you want it to be fraternity boys. This joker called into a YouTube channel and told people that it was fraternity boys. He wanted people looking in the other direction. No, those fraternity boys don't have what it takes to plan and execute what happened in that house at night. No, they don't. Do they have it in them to get tore up drunk and act stupid? Yeah. Do they have it in them maybe to sell a little bit of weed or even worse on the side? Yeah. Do they have it in them to concoct a great plan for how to, cheat on their final exams? Absolutely, yes. But do they have what it takes to plan, enter a dark house full of sleeping people, kill, maim, cut the throats of 4 people, disemboweling them, creating the most horrific nightmare on the face of the planet, and then walk away without leaving a trail in the woods? No. They didn't. A fraternity boy did not do this, y'all. Just didn't happen. Now, why would this guy want to try to direct people to the fraternity guys? Because he's been hunting those girls. He's been watching them. He knows the fraternity guys that are there at the house. He knows it's easy to find their pictures. Did you see all the J's and the D's? Did you see the LARPer? They're damn LARPers. People are saying, look at this picture of the big giant knife. Look at they're wearing medieval helmets on their head with knives. They're acting out the knights of the realm. You believe that they can go into a house and commit heinous murder of 4 young people? Their friends? No, they don't have it in them. They don't have it in them. Okay. Oh, Alma. Yeah. The police would have to put my kids in protective custody. That's right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Somebody said, I can't believe his dad. I can't believe he got his dad involved. Can't believe his dad came and drove the car home. Why? What did Jeffrey Dahmer's dad do? Here's this last thing I'm going to say about the whole deal. Today, I will be back. You guys are looking at the abnormal through your normal lens. There is nothing normal about Bryan Kohberger. There is nothing normal about him. There's nothing normal about the way he grew up and the way he was raised. we would consider OCD to be an expected diagnosis in the case of a serial killer, Lenny, uh, because serial killing, the psychological makeup is obsession and compulsion. The killing itself is the compulsion, right? Yeah. I think John Kelly says that it's an addiction. I think that's one of his premises. But no, psychological correlate for serial killer, absolutely OCD. Yeah, no doubt. You would expect to see it. Most parents would stand behind their child. And I would kind of push the point a little bit. Are they standing behind their child, or are they standing behind normality? Are they fighting for their child, or are they fighting for their reality to continue? Dylan Klebold's mother, Sue Klebold, has a documentary on Netflix. If y'all haven't watched it, it's a really good watch. It is a nightmare when you have to recognize that your child is a monster. And your world changes. The way people talk to you and react to you, you're not the one that did the killing, but the way people approach you, it's as if you did. So if y'all haven't seen her documentary, it's a great one to watch. Oh, don't you worry, Elizabeth. Absolutely. Also, Horton brings up a great point. He's been obsessed with serial killers. Bryan does not see the world like we do. He sees it totally different. Absolutely, Martin. He has an excellent memory. He has great deductive and inductive reasoning. He's a brilliant guy. Okay, but he has a thought disorder. The other people are expendable. He's king. He's willing to go into a house and kill 4 people, but you know what else he does? Here's a big sign for me as a clinician. He's willing to sit in a classroom full of people and talk about how screwed up LGBTQ people are, how LGBTQ people are a scourge. Why do I say that's a clinical sign of what he may be capable of? Because most people recognize you don't attack people for things that are nobody's business, right? You respect people's privacy and their individual differences. He felt entitled to discuss other people's LGBTQ status, conditions, situations, challenges. He felt like he was so much better that he was entitled to bring it up and talk about it in public with everyone watching and listening, with no care or concern about making others uncomfortable. Thank you, Alba. But you see what I'm talking about, right? It would be like the same thing, like someone that would be willing. Well, I can't think. Let's see. The reason I brought up LGBTQ is because some of the criminology students, graduate students, they said that he particularly said offensive things out loud in class in a real public platform, specifically went after LGBTQ type issues. Well, it would be the same thing if he was being offensive related to something like race, right? So it's not that it's an issue. It's that he has the empowerment. He feels the freedom to discuss personal, private things about other people, to be judgmental about whether it's okay or not. It's the ultimate act in arrogance, y'all. It's the ultimate. Who not only did Barry Morphew's mother support him, she was rabid and vicious about it. And yet, if my own son or daughter or mom or dad or brother, if my own family member was arrested for murder in the same situation, I'd be sitting at the jail going, "You're a lying son of a bitch. Explain this." "Oh, okay. Well, then how do you explain that?" "Well, how did this happen? How did that happen? Explain this to me." You see the difference? It's the same thing. We're going to talk about Barry Morphew, who is innocent, people. He's not even under, bail right now. He's free and clear. He's just like me and you. Okay. He was never held responsible for his own actions. Never. To the tune of wrecking a car as an underage driver and his big sister jumping in the driver's seat and taking the rap. That is how you raise a little sociopath. Am I right or wrong, Martin? You got to let your children experience correction. You've got to let your children learn how to make decisions and then suffer the consequences, be they good consequences or bad consequences. Otherwise, they never learn. This guy is going to be like that monster who held those 3 girls in chains. Oh my God, that was a nightmare, wasn't it? Ugh. I look at it a little different than that, RAS. That guy he was mentally ill. He was low functioning. He had his hands full with, like a janitorial job, I think, at like a factory, I think, if I remember correctly. Not that this is different. This guy enjoyed what he did. He liked what he did. And I guarantee you right now, this morning, he's eating his fried eggs and ham, and he is feeling perfectly satiated because all the newspapers are talking about him. All right. So, have we heard enough preaching this morning? Let me hear a hell yeah, Jules. All right. I got to go. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful day. And you know what I'm going to say. I'll be back. See y'all later. Oh, thumbs up, please. Subscribe and hit the bell, please. And leave a comment, please. How's that? All right. Y'all have a beautiful day.